Welcome, everyone, to the fifth episode of the Training Ground, an insight into employability support and strategies during the pandemic. I am really pleased to have Mr. G with us today. We'll be talking through just some tips around public speaking and presenting when obviously you go for an interview or at the interview stage. Welcome, Mr. G.
How you doing, Temison? Great to see you.
I'm good. Thank you. Yourself? How things been for you during the lockdown? And obviously they're eased a bit now, but how's it been for you?
I mean, look, I ain't gonna lie. It's been kind of difficult because a lot of my work revolves around going into schools, going into prisons. I work a lot of theaters, and so like the whole industry's been turned upside down. But I'm kind of trying to stay optimistic, and that I always believe that there's always a way out of everything. So that's what I'm looking for at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, look, I think it's definitely, like you said, in terms of challenging periods of time and having to adjust as much as possible. And I know from what you've done, I mean, we'll go through a few bits of what you've done. I mean, it's fantastic. Poet, radio presenter. You presented BBC Radio 4's Rhyme and Reason, Be Spoken Word and Poetry Justice. You're founding member of Chill Pill Collective. Started as the poet for the West End run of Into the Woods. You've been a poet laureate for Russell Brand's Sony Award-winning radio show. First performance poet to do a set at the O2 in front of 16,000 people, as well as a cameo role in the film Get Him to the Greek. And you also write current affairs poems for BBC Regional Radio, National Radio, Prison Radio, as well as you performed the voiceover poem for this year's Emirates FA Cup Heads Up campaign. Where do we go from there, really? Because your experience is vast in this area, especially around spoken word and presenting to different audiences.
Well, I guess without meaning to sound too clinical, it's sort of like it all stems from the same place. It stems from the same place of I decided to be a poet, and from deciding to be a poet, I then try to see where can my poetry land, So the poets from the valleys may not work in the mountaintops. The poets in the cities may not work in the countryside. The poets at the bottom of the ocean may not work way up in the clouds. Like every single person has got their own set of skills, has got their own calling in life, has got their own talent that they have to offer to the world. And so once I figured out that my talent was to write poetry, it was a case of, okay, where can I put it? And radio just happened to be one of the best places for it.
Fantastic, brilliant. And that's so crucial, like you said, whatever job someone's going for, it's got to be something that they're passionate about. Like you said, it might not suit them. Is that the thing that you should go into at this point in time? Maybe, maybe not. Obviously, you can make that choice, and one can make that choice themselves. But like you said, you have something to give. And if that person knows, that you have something to give, then go for it. So where did Mr. G come from then? I'm sure everyone will be curious.
Okay, my name's Greg, but people always call me G. And I guess that, like, for those of you that are old enough to remember, there used to be this character on the A-Team, Mr. T, right?
Yeah. Bigger, Beacon.
Trust me, with the most. I have to stay old enough to remember, because nowadays, when I chat to kids, they don't know who Mr. T is. For those of us of a certain age, Mr. T was the man. And so, I was a big fan of him. And so people call me G, and I just figured, okay, I just call myself Mr. G.
Yeah, brilliant. So just moving into, got a lot of questions around the interview stage. So last week we did around CVs, but once you actually get past that stage to the interview now, how does a candidate really bring to life their experience through what they say? What's the preparation to that?
Well, I think the main preparation is to, I would say, it's about having a belief in yourself. I know it's going to sound a bit sort of like airy, but all things start from a belief in yourself. It's just having an understanding that you have got something to offer the world. And if you believe you've got something to offer the world, then other people will see that spark in you. And so I used to always treat whether they're interviews, whether they're auditions, it's a bit it's like an advert, right? So know when you turn on TV and you see an advert and like somebody's selling a car and they want to tell you it's the best car in the world, or someone's trying to sell you like, you know, like this food is the best food to ever eat, or this like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
clean your clothes amazing. The folks that are selling it to you, they got to believe in what they're selling, otherwise you don't believe it. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
some,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, this car's all right, you know what I mean? You ain't gonna believe it, you know? So if you look upon yourself as like you're going there with a certain set of skills, a certain set of
Mm,
life experiences, a certain set of unique opinions and unique qualities that make you you, and you're going in there to sell those qualities to somebody. So you
yeah,
have to believe in the qualities in yourself. Now, you ain't going to be the fastest person in the world. You ain't going to be the most amazing rocket scientist in the world. You ain't going to be, you know what I'm saying, right? It's not about
yeah.
it's not about being the best ever, because that's a concept. It's about trying to sell the best version of yourself, and
Mm.
everybody can do that.
Brilliant. I mean, that's a great tip off the bat. Just being able to sell yourself of what what you've done previously, and being able to, like I said, say it with passion, say it with confidence. But you need to know it. You need to understand. Okay, what is my experience that I've had? Do I really
Yeah,
understand this experience, and how am I sending that? So, in terms of things like gestures, then, because that's a big thing. You sometimes you see people might say, right, you've got to maintain eye contact, but if you maintain eye contact for too long, then it might come across as maybe a little bit
yeah.
strange. So yeah,
Well,
or the distance between you and the interviewer. Obviously, a lot is on is online now. But what would you say then around gestures and body language?
I think with body language, again, it's about you feeling comfortable in yourself, because you're going there to sell yourself. Nobody knows you better than you. So
Mm,
once you're in the room, you are the biggest expert of yourself than anybody else in the room. So just having that knowledge, that's why I keep saying it all comes back to a belief in yourself. Just
yeah,
having that knowledge will kind of calm you down. Because obviously, let's be honest, you go into an interview situation or an audition situation or any interaction with someone who you don't know, there's
yeah,
always this trepidation. There's always this kind of like fear. That's natural. That goes back to the beginning of time. Do you know what I'm saying,
yeah,
right? But it's trying to overcome that and trying to like calm yourself down and have the posture of someone that is calm.
yeah,
So I guess like gesticulation helps because it helps to sort of like punctuate the things that you're trying to say. But
yeah,
too much gesticulation makes someone
yeah,
just
yeah,
go, right? Obviously, you want to like sit with a certain degree of posture that shows that you've got a
yeah,
confidence in yourself. But if you're too stiff and rigid, then the person looking at you thinks, wow, this guy's there's something a bit off with this person. So it's trying to be the most natural version of yourself. And once you feel yourself being natural, your whole body will assume the posture that is comfortable within itself
mm,
to be able to portray the message.
brilliant. And I think that's one of the things that you said, especially around calm, being calm, knowing that you're the expert of yourself in the room. And I think remembering that is a great tip for those listening who are listening to the video. Then
Sorry,
linking it. Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry. I mean, in terms of like say real practical advice, because this is the advice that I would give to people that
Yeah,
are performing, right? Like if you think about the there are three fundamental things that your body needs, right? The most fundamental thing your body needs is air. You take away someone's air, they ain't gonna be around here for too long. The
yeah,
second thing your body needs is water. You take away the water, you ain't gonna be around here too long. The third fundamental thing you need is food. So when you're getting ready to go to
mm,
an interview or when you're getting ready to like do a performance, I would say give yourself if give yourself have a meal about a couple of hours before. You don't want to go in there feeling hungry, because if
yeah,
you're feeling hungry, your body's going to fight against being there, right?
yeah,
Because your body's going to be thinking, man, I can't wait to get out of here to go get something to eat, right?
yeah, yeah,
Just before you go in or while you're there, take a few sips of water, because your body always needs hydration. When you're in a nervous situation, the first thing that happens is your body it sucks all the water out of your mouth. That's why you get dry mouth, right? Because
oh
your body
wow, mm,
water. I need water, and literally you feel your mouth go dry, you feel your eyes go dry, and you
yeah,
feel your body tense up because it needs water. So give yourself a nice drink. You know what I mean? Like just before you go in, and then when you're about to speak to someone, just take a nice breath, and you give yourself a nice breath, and that's just for yourself. And the minute you see the way I just calmed down just then?
Yeah. I can see that, yeah.
Once your body gets air, everything just goes, I've got what I need. And those are three physical, practical things that, trust me, they work. I know they sound so basic, but they really do work.
Brilliant. Well, that's great advice from you. Been on radio, who's performed at the O2. I think that's definitely advice that we have to take. And then how do you link in with the gestures with the vocal element? So obviously not sounding too monotone or filler words such as or ah. How do you then, what are some of the key tips to make sure that you're not falling into those traps?
Well, I would say that, like, in terms of I just did that just then.
Yeah.
In terms hey, everyone's learning this game, right? In terms of going into an interview, I would say write out points about yourself beforehand. Everything is about prep, working beforehand.
Yeah.
If you look at every single performance that you see, or like you're in the football game, every single game that you see, that ain't the first time the guy's been on the pitch. The guy's been training, and then goes on the pitch. And what you're seeing on the pitch is a culmination of months and months and years of training. And the same thing goes with, especially with an interview or a performance, is where if you write down what it is you want to say, then you will know how to put those words in your speech, and that then helps, again, get your message across. And once you've got them in your mind already, your mind isn't searching for words. The reason why I did the just then is I was pausing to try and search for something. But if you've got these things written down, let's say you've written down everything you want to say about yourself the night before or 2 nights before, and you look at it again, then when you're in an interview situation, your mind will pause and then grab for that concept and then bring it to your mouth and then put it out there.
Brilliant. Great advice. Fantastic advice. And in that speech, what about pauses? Because, that's been talked about a lot. Pauses, when's the right time to pause? How many pauses? Seconds in terms of pausing? What would you say?
I think that it's very vital to understand, like me, myself, I do a lot of writing. I write words as my way of interacting with the world. It's the way I make a living. But the pauses between the words are as important as the words themselves, because people pause, take a breath. So if you think about it, what gives you life gives the words life as well. So the pauses are
brilliant. Love that.
Very important. In saying that, obviously, you don't want to pause too awkwardly, because then listening feels awkward. So there are natural pauses where once you feel yourself starting to run out of breath, where you can actually just go and then carry on, because people allow you to breathe. And so you should allow yourself to breathe. And so even though what I said, when you have to have all these things written down in your mind, there is this tendency to just blurt everything out and just go, and then I did this, and then I did this, and I did this. And it's like, it's not about just getting it out there. It's trying to get it out there in the most palatable and most entertaining way. And that requires pauses. And you'll know when the pauses are meant to be there. Really trust yourself. As I said, a lot of it comes down to having a belief in yourself. Everything that I'm saying is stuff that you already know, because when you listen to someone speak to you, you know when they're breathing strangely. You know when they're pausing strangely. You're speaking to your friends, you know when you're saying something right or when you're saying something wrong. You already know this stuff already. All I'm doing is reminding you of stuff that you do already. And the more sociable and the more amicable you can be within an interview situation where you almost feel as if you're talking to a familiar friend, the pause will come naturally. So it's just getting over that nervousness, and then the pauses come naturally. But always give yourself time to pause, because your message needs it and you need it yourself.
Brilliant. And what you said at the end there, in terms of your message needs it and you need it, I think as people remember that, they'll probably be, that will stick in the brain. Yeah, I need it. My message needs it. the other person might even need a pause themselves just to consider what I've said. So those three elements, fantastic. So in terms of awkward, don't say silences, but if someone's speaking so much and you find yourself, actually, I'm just rambling on, how do you almost come to an end? Because at times it can be a bit strange. You've talked for 1-2 minutes and you realize that actually, am I even starting to make any sense anymore? How do you actually just, right, let's phase that out?
Never underestimate people's ability to switch subjects. I mean, this is one thing that I learned from performing, where, as you said, sometimes I'll be speaking about one thing over and over and over again. And in my mind, I'm thinking, right, even I'm getting bored of this.
Yeah.
I think if I'm getting bored of this, what are the other people thinking about it? And so sometimes you can just actually just go, well, that was then. But also, and then move on to another subject. So there are little ways in which you can just put a full stop at the end
that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
And move on to another subject. And people's minds can automatically make the jump. It's not as if you have to make some wonderful, seamless segue into the next subject. You can actually go, wow, that was amazing. So, and then carry on. You know, there are lots of little things you can do, or you can just, let's say you're talking about a life experience, you can actually just go, that's what I learned from that. Anyway, and then you carry on and just move on to something else. And so once you feel yourself, you know, rambling on about the same thing over and beating the same, you know, just beating the same subject over and over and over and over and over again, you can actually put a pause on that, or even just go, wow, I can't believe I spoke so much about that. Anyway, next up on my list is, and then carry on. And even if you say things like next up on my list, sometimes people like stuff like that because it makes them think, oh, this guy's got an agenda that he's sticking to. And people love the idea of
that's great.
Yeah, people love the idea of someone speaking to them when they know what the next thing is. The person speaking, that is, knows what the next thing is, and that there is a plan to this, and there's a formula, and there's, because all presentation is, all monologues is taking someone on this wonderful journey through concepts that are within their mind.
And that's the word that came to my mind as you were speaking, journey. So like you said, with a list, it helps the interviewer to follow through, because you are taking them on a journey, and that journey, you want them to arrive at certain places at some point. But if you've stayed at a place for quite a while, right, we've been at the sunset, maybe we need to go to the beach now, we need to go to the waterfall. We've appreciated that long enough. So as part of presenting, listening is a key aspect of it. Listening to the audience, not just what they say or how they might react, but looking at their body language as well. What are some of the key tips there or cues for you? Because sometimes you might need to change what you were going to say depending on how somebody reacts.
Whoa, you're getting deep now. You're trying to mine for the secrets in the treasure chest. An interesting thing that someone once told me when I first started performing was that every monologue is really a dialogue. So even though the audience aren't speaking to you when you're giving your presentation, their mannerisms, their body language, their pauses, as it were, is their way of communicating back to you. And so you might go there and you are speaking about one thing, and you can feel when the audience are starting to drift in terms of their attention span. Or if it's where you're speaking about something and they're hanging on every single word, then you think, okay, let me just explore this concept a little bit further. So there is an element of, I suppose, intuitiveness. In the same way as when you're speaking to a very, very good friend of yours, and you're speaking and then you say a little something and you can feel when they're not really interested about it. Let's say you're speaking about a film that you saw and you go, oh, wow, and this film was amazing, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and you could just see them just go, and then you realize, let me finish up on the film and talk about where I went to after the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is it's trusting your instincts, because again, what you're presenting is an experience that only you have, an opinion that only you have. You're bringing something that is completely unique to them, and so you know what elements of it, that you're not just one thing. you're a myriad of things. You're a plethora of things. There's thousands of different elements that combine to make you. So
Yeah.
one thing ain't working, then there's loads of other things that combine to make you. There's loads of other things that you can bring to the game. So it is that sort of like some of it is a degree of trial and error, but a lot of it is just a degree of saying something and then just having that secret ear inside you, just listening to is what I'm saying working? And if it's not working, you can even just go, okay, let me just put this another way. Let me put this in a way in which you can understand. Sometimes you can use just that phrase. Let me put this in a way in which I think you'll be able to understand. And then you reframe and repackage what it is you were saying before, and hopefully it will hit home.
That is a superb way of packaging it. Like you said, we dug into the treasure chest, and I think we took out that key phrase there is fantastic. How do you repackage it or reframe it in a way that they can understand, that the interviewer can understand? And that's a crucial point for those who be listening, for young people, people looking at potentially changing jobs or about to go for an interview. How do you recognize those moments? And there might be one or two where you need to actually reframe what you've said, so that the interviewer really understands and grabs the essence.
Sorry to interrupt. If you're going for an interview, research the company that you are going to be interviewed by. Research everything about them. There's a phrase I've got, which is you can only sell something. Oh no, what's the phrase? You can only sell something to somebody which they already want to buy. So let's say I'm working in a factory and my factory makes fluffy toys.
Yeah.
I'm only going to be looking for someone that can help me make better fluffy toys. If you've got the skills to make shoes, as amazing as that might be, I can't buy into that. I only can buy into a person that can help me make a better fluffy toy or sell better fluffy toys, right? So you've got to take all your skill in terms of making shoes and try and relate it to me, who makes fluffy toys. Now, if you haven't done your research on how to make fluffy toys or what my business is about, you can come in there with all the experience you've got and all the intelligence you've got and all the opinions you've got. But unless you're selling me something I want to buy, then I'll just be like, that sounds amazing, but maybe you just ain't the person for me. So research the people that you are speaking to, and then find a way in which you can connect what it is you have to offer with what it is that they want.
And that's in effect the transferable skills. So you may not have an experience necessarily in that sector, but what are the transferable skills that you can have and you can bring to the interview stage and you can present? It's been fantastic, Mr. G. Honestly, there's been so many nuggets for everyone to take. Do you have just any key tips that we haven't already drawn out from this interview that you could leave our listeners with?
Okay, the key tip that I would have is that, like, I do a lot of like workshop training and mentoring, and I know that I've been speaking to especially a lot of young people who are very, very worried about this time, right? This is like an unprecedented time. Things haven't ever occurred before. The beauty of life is that nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. Nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. We're all in the same boat, looking into the unknown and trying to get a glimpse into the future. And so there will always be obstacles that you have to overcome. There will always be barriers that you have to try and get around. These things are going to be constant. So whether it's called COVID, or whether it's called recession, or whether it's called getting up and you've got a pain, on your shoulder, there's always going to be something that gets in the way of what it is you want to do. But trust, this is the poet in me speaking, right? The beauty of the human mind, the beauty of human potential, and the beauty of the human spirit is that we can overcome obstacles. We can get around barriers. We can build bridges. We've got the mind that can look at a problem and see a way around it. And so I might not be able to do it. Temerson, you may not be able to do it, but there's somebody watching this right now that will just look at the problem, just go, this is what we got to do. And that's what I'm always trying to encourage people, that the answer is always inside there somewhere. You just have to believe in yourself that it is there, and it will come out.
Look, Mr. G, that is wonderful, and it's been a great time speaking with you. Thank you, everyone who will be listening in and we watching the video, and hope you stay safe as usual and enjoy this episode. Take care for now, Mr. G.
Cheers. Bless.
All right.